The arena lights blazed down on the boxing ring as 20,000 fans held their breath. Muhammad Ali, the man they called the greatest, did something no one expected. He turned his back on his opponent in the middle of the championship fight. For 3 agonizing seconds, the entire world froze. The television cameras zoomed in, capturing a single tear rolling down Ali's cheek. A moment of vulnerability from a man known for his unshakable confidence. The image would become iconic, but the truth behind it remained hidden from the public for decades. Before that fateful moment, Ali had been facing more than just his opponent. His personal physician had discovered concerning results during his comprehensive health checkup just 2 days earlier. Mr. Ali, these specialized tests indicate early signs of neurological damage. I strongly recommend you consider retirement for your long-term health, Dr. Reynolds had advised in the privacy of his premium medical suite. If that health revelation wasn't enough, Ali's financial advisor had delivered equally troubling news. Your investment portfolio has taken significant losses, and with this premium insurance policy lapsing, you're facing potential financial ruin, James Whitaker had explained while reviewing documents in Ali's luxury apartment overlooking Central Park. If this story has made you feel something already, however small, don't leave without giving back. Comment and tell me where you're watching this video from, and subscribe to the channel. Ali's coach, Marcus Johnson, a former CEO who had left the corporate world to pursue his passion for boxing, stood in his corner that night, aware of the heavyweight champion's inner turmoil. "Remember, your personal brand is bigger than boxing," he had whispered just before the bell. Your emotional intelligence is what separates you from every other fighter." The first round had gone exactly as planned. Ali danced around his opponent with his signature footwork, landing precise jabs that demonstrated his technical mastery. The high-performance training regimen Marcus had designed was paying dividends, but something changed in the second round. When the network cameras caught Ali staring at the private executive box where the Boxing Commission president sat, with representatives from Ali's mortgage lender, his expression hardened. The commission had threatened to revoke his license if he continued speaking out against the Vietnam War, while the bank had suggested they might foreclose on his mother's home if he didn't comply with certain promotional demands. That's when it happened. At the beginning of the third round, instead of touching gloves, Ali deliberately turned his back on his opponent and faced the commission's luxury box. The referee immediately moved between the fighters, unsure how to handle this unprecedented situation. The arena fell silent as Ali stood motionless, his back to his opponent and the referee, facing directly into the camera that broadcast to millions worldwide. What the camera caught in that moment broke hearts across America. Not just the tear on his cheek, but the quiet dignity of a man refusing to compromise his core values despite enormous pressure. "I didn't turn my back on my opponent," Ali would later explain to his wealth management advisor. "I turned my back on a system that wanted to own me." There's no financial security worth sacrificing your principles. What no one in the audience knew was that Ali had received a certified letter that morning. His tax consultant had uncovered evidence that government officials were planning to seize his assets using tax laws specifically targeted at prominent African-American athletes who spoke out politically. As Marcus signaled frantically from the corner, Ali finally turned back to face his opponent. The fight resumed, but something fundamental had changed in the arena. The real battle wasn't for the heavyweight championship, it was for something far more valuable. Your online investment portfolio has lost 40% of its value overnight. James Whitaker explained 3 weeks before the infamous fight, sliding financial charts across the mahogany desk in his downtown private banking office. And with your premium health insurance policy requiring renewal next month, we need to make strategic decisions quickly. Ali sat in silence, the weight of these financial challenges adding to his already considerable burdens. The digital security system in Whitaker's office ensured their conversation remained confidential, a luxury Ali had come to appreciate as his fame grew. "Dor, what about refinancing the mortgage on the training facility?" Ali asked, referring to the state-of-the-art gym he had purchased to help young boxers from underprivileged neighborhoods. Whitaker adjusted his Rolex as he considered the question. "The property is valued at $2.5 million, but the commercial lending market is tight right now. Your startup investment in that health tech company might be our best option for immediate liquidity." What troubled Ali most wasn't his personal financial situation, but the dozens of families depending on his charity foundation. The annual health screening program he funded for former boxers had identified early-stage chronic traumatic encephalopathy in 17 athletes last year alone, allowing for preventative treatment. "There's something else," Whitaker said, lowering his voice despite the room's secure environment. "The intelligence I've gathered suggests the Boxing Commission is working with certain investment banks to control your career trajectory. They're using your mortgage as leverage." That evening, in the privacy of his penthouse apartment, Ali received an unexpected visitor, Dr. Sarah Reynolds arrived without her usual medical equipment, clearly not there in her capacity as his concierge physician. "The neurological scans we performed during your executive health assessment showed something concerning," she said, placing a sealed envelope on the custom marble countertop. "I've consulted with a specialist in Switzerland who pioneered this preventative treatment protocol. It's not covered by even your premium insurance plan." Ali examined the private medical documents with growing concern. "How long do I have before this becomes debilitating?" "With your current fight schedule, perhaps 5 years, with immediate retirement and this specialized treatment program. You could have decades of healthy life ahead." She hesitated before adding, "But the treatment costs are substantial, approximately $1.2 million annually." The digital security system in Ali's smart home alerted them to another visitor. Marcus Johnson, Ali's innovative coach and strategic advisor, entered using his biometric access. Marcus's background as former CEO of a successful tech startup had revolutionized Ali's training regimen. His data-driven approach to performance optimization had given Ali an edge that compensated for the early neurological symptoms only his closest confidants knew about. "The commission called an emergency meeting," Marcus announced without preamble. "They're amending the contract for next month's championship fight. New clauses about conduct unbecoming that would allow them to withhold your purse if you make any political statements." Ali walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. "They want to silence me before the congressional hearing on athlete exploitation." What the public didn't know was that Ali had been working with a prestigious law firm specializing in intellectual property rights. For years, boxing promoters had been profiting from fighters' images and personal brands while leaving them destitute after retirement. "There's something else," Marcus said, exchanging a glance with Dr. Reynolds. "We have evidence that your opponent is being given performance-enhancing substances by a private clinic connected to commission members. Our cybersecurity team intercepted communications." Ali's mind raced with implications. The championship fight was 2 weeks away, and now he faced an impossible choice: fight under potentially dangerous and unfair conditions, or withdraw and lose everything he'd worked for, including the ability to fund medical care for his community. "We have one advantage," Marcus said. "The network's exclusive broadcast contract means this fight will have the largest television audience in boxing history." Whatever happens in that ring will be witnessed by millions. Ali turned from the window, his expression resolute. Then we'll give them something worth watching. The luxury SUV with custom privacy glass pulled up to the rear entrance of Manhattan's most exclusive health clinic 1 week before the fight. Ali had insisted on this appointment, despite his team's concerns about pre-fight disruptions to his training schedule. Your investment in preventative health monitoring was prescient, Dr. Elliot Chen remarked as he reviewed the comprehensive neurological assessment on his tablet. As the leading researcher in traumatic brain injuries and founder of a successful medical AI startup, Dr. Chen's waiting list for consultations stretched to 18 months. Do these premium diagnostic tests show subtle changes that conventional screening would have missed entirely? Ali sat in the ergonomic consultation chair, the wearable health monitoring device on his wrist, continuously uploading data to his secure electronic health record. What's your professional assessment of my condition if I continue fighting? Dr. Chen placed his tablet on the custom walnut desk. With your current neurological profile, each fight significantly increases your risk of permanent damage. The advanced imaging reveals early indicators consistent with what we now recognize as CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And the experimental treatment protocol Dr. Reynolds mentioned. It shows promise in clinical trials, but the out-of-pocket costs are substantial since no insurance company will cover experimental treatments. We're talking about annual expenses equivalent to a luxury condominium in Manhattan. This medical reality weighed heavily on Ali as he arrived at his financial advisor's private banking office later that afternoon. The firm's exclusive wealth management suite required biometric verification just to access the elevator. The projections don't look good, James Whitaker said, gesturing to the holographic display showing Ali's investment portfolio. The property development in Chicago is underwater by $600,000 after the market correction, and the insurance premiums for your health policy are increasing by 30% next quarter. What about liquidating the tech stocks? Ali asked. Your startup investments are subject to lock-up provisions for another 16 months. And with the mortgage on your mother's house being underwater after the real estate market downturn, we're in a precarious position. The conversation was interrupted by a call from Marcus Johnson. The network executives just left my office, Marcus reported, his voice tense. They've received pressure from advertisers concerned about your political statements. They're threatening to invoke the morality clause in your broadcasting contract. Ali ended the call and turned back to his advisor. What happens financially if I lose the sponsorship deals? Whitaker's expression was grim. Without those revenue streams, maintaining your charitable foundation would be impossible. The free health clinic in your hometown would lose funding within 3 months. That evening, in the private dining room of an exclusive restaurant known for its discretion, Ali met with Congressman Thomas Richardson, who chaired the House Committee on Athletic Regulations. The pharmaceutical company that sponsors the Boxing Commission has much to lose if your testimony about exploitative practices goes public, Richardson explained, careful to ensure their conversation couldn't be overheard. My sources in the Financial Intelligence Unit have confirmed they're applying pressure through your creditors. They're using my mortgage and my mother's reverse mortgage as leverage, Ali confirmed. Precisely. And with your investment in that medical technology startup still years from paying dividends, they believe you'll be forced to comply with their demands. Ali's smartphone vibrated with a secure message from Dr. Reynolds. Test results back. Treatment needs to begin within 60 days for optimal effectiveness. The championship fight was now just 5 days away, and Ali faced an impossible decision that would impact not just his legacy, but the financial security and healthcare access of countless others who depended on him. That night, alone in his penthouse with its panoramic city views, Ali called his mother. "The reverse mortgage on your house," he began carefully. "I need to know if you're willing to risk it." Her answer would help determine what happened in the ring that fateful night. As Muhammad Ali prepared in his dressing room before the championship fight, the true stakes of the evening remained hidden from the 20,000 fans filling the arena and the millions watching on their premium cable subscriptions at home. Marcus Johnson reviewed their strategy one final time. The network's exclusive broadcast rights mean this fight will have the highest viewership in boxing history. The primary camera will be positioned at your corner. And the digital analytics team is monitoring social media in real time, Ali confirmed, referring to the startup he had secretly invested in that specialized in tracking public sentiment through advanced algorithms. Everything is in place. The moment you make your statement, they'll capture the global reaction. What the public didn't know was that Ali had secured a private blockchain transaction the previous day, transferring his most valuable assets into a secure digital trust that couldn't be touched by creditors or government agencies. The certified financial planner who had structured this arrangement had worked through the night to ensure everything was legally protected. Ali's personal physician completed her pre-fight examination, the medical equipment in the makeshift clinic far more sophisticated than standard boxing commission requirements. "Your neurological baseline shows minor changes since last week," she noted with professional concern. The health insurance company would use this as grounds to deny coverage if they had access to these results. When Ali stepped into the ring, he carried the weight of decisions that extended far beyond the fight itself. His mother had given him her answer about the reverse mortgage on her home. Some things matter more than a house. The first 2 rounds proceeded according to plan. Ali demonstrated his trademark style, the results of the high-performance training regimen and premium supplements carefully designed by his team. The exclusive broadcast captured every moment in high definition. Then came the 3rd round, and the moment that would become legendary when Muhammad Ali turned his back in the ring. What the camera caught was indeed heartbreaking, not just the tear on his cheek, but the look of absolute resolve as he deliberately violated boxing's most sacred code by turning away from his opponent. What the camera never showed was what happened 24 hours earlier. Ali had received encrypted communications from a whistleblower within the Boxing Commission, evidence that officials had been extracting wealth from fighters through predatory contract clauses and manipulated health insurance claims for decades. "Your comprehensive health records are being shared with insurers without consent," the whistleblower had written. "They're using proprietary algorithms to identify fighters they can deny coverage to after retirement." When Ali turned his back in the ring, he wasn't just making a statement about the Vietnam War, as most historians would later claim. He was directly challenging a system that had been exploiting athletes, particularly black athletes, for generations. The camera caught his tear, but not the private conversation he'd had with his wealth management advisor earlier that day. "If I do this, I'll lose everything." "Not everything," the advisor had replied. "Your intellectual property rights and personal brand will remain yours, and the documentary evidence we've compiled about the Commission's financial practices will protect you from total ruin." After the fight, which Ali lost by disqualification, the real battle began. His mortgage lender immediately initiated foreclosure proceedings. His luxury car was repossessed, and his health insurance provider terminated his coverage, citing contract violations. 6 months later, Ali sat in the witness chair before Congress, testifying about the exploitation of athletes by the very institutions meant to protect them. The investment he had made in documenting these abuses now paid dividends of a different kind. When I turned my back in that ring, he explained to the Congressional Committee, I was facing a future where boxers could maintain financial security after their careers ended, where health insurance coverage wouldn't be denied to those suffering from sports-related injuries, where athletes would own their personal brands and intellectual property. The emergency fund Ali had established on the advice of his financial planner sustained him through the legal battles that followed. The private health clinic founded by Dr. Reynolds provided care for former boxers who had been denied insurance coverage. 2 years after that fateful night, standing in the bright atrium of his newly established foundation for athlete advocacy, Ali addressed a room filled with sports legends and financial technology entrepreneurs who had backed his vision. They thought when I turned my back that night, I was surrendering, Ali told them, his voice slightly affected by the early symptoms his premium medical treatment was fighting to control. But sometimes you have to turn away from what is, to face what could be. The digital investment platform Ali had helped develop now provided financial literacy education to thousands of young athletes. The telemedicine app created in partnership with Dr. Reynolds delivered concussion protocols to sporting events nationwide. What the camera caught that night, a tear on the cheek of the greatest boxer of all time, had indeed been heartbreaking. But it was also the beginning of a revolution that would transform sports forever. If you've made it this far and felt every word, don't leave without subscribing. I tell these stories with my heart in my hand to reach people like you who feel, who get emotional, who truly live. If this touched you, give back, comment, subscribe. Come be part of this family with me until the next video.